This is a paper airplane, and it's actually not terrible. So that's 10 meters. But what if we took the paper plane to its absolute extreme with the $92 power-up plane V4 F22 Raptor edition? Well, it took me around 30 minutes of pushing, folding, and cutting to set the thing up. But now, ooh, look at this. The plane's gyro sensors will show you how upright it currently is. And then you use your phone's gyro sensors if you want to steer it. Let's put it onto 100% speed and whoa! Man, this thing just goes. It feels so weird to be able to fly a paper airplane. That traveled 70 meters. We all had toys as kids, but today we are finding out how extreme those toys can get if you spend adult money. So let's test them in price order and then rank the top 3 in terms of sheer thrill on this here podium. I guess you are currently in first place. But that might be about to change with the Gel Blaster. So for reference, this is a pretty standard $20 X-Shot blaster that you can grab on Amazon. And it's basically like an airsoft gun, but instead of firing painfully plastic pellets, it fires Orbeez. But this is what happens when you spend $250 to buy something like the N4 Gel Blaster. And it's absolutely buried in accessories. Like I have to one by one pick them off before we can get to the gun itself. Wow, that is a lot heavier and more realistic looking than I was expecting. But then the craziest bit is that wasn't all the accessories. This is all the accessories. We got magazines, we got laser sights. It's starting to make sense why this ended up being $250. All the parts in isolation feel a little bit cheap, but then you put it all together and it's actually kind of heavy and very cool looking. It feels like this is exactly 50% between toy and very serious piece of equipment. It's got 2 lasers. The green one looks like the even more precise option. Oh my God, and the muzzle, it's slightly smoking every time I shoot. It makes you feel very powerful when you're shooting with this thing. It's a lot more powerful, it's a lot more accurate. It's just not the most reliable product. We've actually had a ton of issues trying to get this thing to reload properly. But it would be pretty hard to argue that that wasn't even more fun than the paper plane. So, current residing champion. But when I was younger, even more so than guns, my primary source of entertainment was actually just a pen. And not in a cool James Bond gadget kind of way. From the age of like 2, all I wanted to do was to draw a dinosaur. Yes, this is a dinosaur. So how do you take doodling to the extreme? Well, by using the most advanced 3D printing pen that you can buy. The 3 Doodler Pro. What a great name. Shame I can barely see it thanks to Hermes completely defacing my packaging. Wow, this is actually insane. So it can print PLA, which is polylactic acid, a biodegradable plastic, and the most common 3D printing material. But then also PHA, which is an even more biodegradable alternative. And then wood. I mean, technically it's like wood powder fused with some plastic, but looks like wood. I guess you could say it smells like wood, but also it has the texture of it. Something about the idea of printing in wood feels so surreal to me. Okay, let's do my younger self proud. It's definitely a learned skill trying to draw in the air, but it's an impressively accurate product. And this wood material is hardening pretty much the second it leaves the nozzle. What's the name of like a really bad artist? It does have turd-like qualities to it. Oh, you can also control the speed at which the filament comes out. All right, let's just go sicko then. Pretty cool how it comes together. It feels like the kind of thing that once mastered, you could basically make anything you wanted to with it. It's a new way of drawing. You kind of have to always think about how you're supporting every part of your image. Okay, I mean, I think if I told you it was a dinosaur, you'd believe me. I don't think younger me would be impressed, but it somewhat resembles a dinosaur and I'm okay with that. Gotta say, 3D printing pens have come a long way. That is easily the best one I've used. It's actually a surprisingly good product. It's just hard to say that it's more thrilling than either of these two. Plus, you can't eat it, which is also a solvable problem because, I kid you not, there is also a Doodler Chef that prints candy. So first is the mat you use as a base, very sticky, some candy capsules, and then the pen itself. So candy goes in here, and then Reese, a professional chef, is gonna see if he can beat my little wooden dinosaur, while we zoom over to the next product. That joke will make sense in like 1 minute. Because while the Biro is something that I did manage to play with as a kid, Heelys, on the other hand, the famous shoes that have wheels built inside of them, were something that I never managed to convince my parents to get me. I'm actually a little bit surprised they even make these in my size. So there are grown men buying Heelys. Oh, can see my parents' reservations with this. But then $300 can buy you the 2025 future version of that concept. The Zoom, get it now? Hover shoes. Goodness me, this thing is about 5 times the weight of the already very heavy Heeley shoes. So you've seen those hover boards, right? The ones that, whoa, where is it going? What? Ah! Does it need recalibrating? Excuse me, sir.
Bye, have a great time.
So like hoverboards, these things self-balance themselves using an internal gyroscope, except there's 2 of them, 1 for each foot. This feels like a problem. In theory, this should allow me to go at up to 7 miles per hour, which doesn't sound fast, but think of it this way, a fast walk is about half of that. Okay, it's my hover shoes versus Drisha's Heelys. This is future versus past.
I'm gonna smoke his Pokemon loving art.
Drisha doesn't stand a chance.
I'm just so used to winning.
3, 2, 1, go! Ah! Oh my God, this is scary. This is scary. Never actually put my speed to the test like this. Oh, yeah. I win! Good effort. Man, these are really fun. The only real problem with these compared to Heelys is portability. Heelys are your shoes too, and all you need to do to transform them is take the wheels out. Whereas these, a little bit too independent devices. Oh no. Need to go under your existing shoes. All things considered though, deserving, I think, of 3rd position. But now for something that's not going to make my life flash before my eyes, the Rubik's Cube. I've spent more time than I'm willing to admit just aimlessly fooling around with one of these until always eventually giving up and asking my brother for help solving it. But what I found pretty hard to believe is that there exists a $599 sci-fi reimagining of the Rubik's Cube concept that swaps those colored stickers for displays. The WOW Cube Black Edition. So you take the strip out to activate it, and this is really heavy. Oh my God, it's alive. So here's what's blowing my mind a little bit. This is a display. This is a display. This is a display. There are 24 individual displays on this cube, and they're actually pretty good screens. Each one has a 240p by 240p resolution, which at this size actually looks pretty fantastic. Specs aside though, can you believe I'm saying that for a Rubik's Cube? Why would you want this? Oh my God. So every one of the screens is also a touchscreen. Okay, twist to start. Okay, so there's a ladybird somewhere. It's following the path, and you have to twist to change the path to make sure it constantly has somewhere new to go. You definitely can't knock the fact that it's a unique gaming experience. Is it fun? I don't know. And I also feel like compared to the original Rubik's Cube, something's been lost in that tactility and ease of being able to twist. Let's try cut the rope. And it better be mind-blowing because we paid the equivalent of $40 to get that one game on this cube. Oh my God, wait. It has gyro physics baked in, so you have to use the gyro sensors to make the ball move. To give them an ounce of credit, they have had to completely redesign this game to work in cubular format. But does that make the game a better experience? I don't think it does in the slightest, to be honest. All the animations are running at like 10 frames per second. Technically speaking, this is phenomenally impressive. Every ounce of software running on this thing has had to be custom designed for it. And funny story, even the official Rubik's company thinks so. They're actually partnering with the WOW Cube to make a Rubik's branded updated version of the thing. But still, I have got zero idea who this is for. I just feel like the beauty of the Rubik's Cube is the fact that it's this cheap $15 block of plastic that you're not too precious about and is a good 10 minutes of fun every now and again. But then if you're spending $599 or $499 if you get the base edition, then I think it puts far more pressure on how good this needs to be than a Rubik's Cube can deliver. I mean, this now has to be better than like a Nintendo Switch 2, and it's not really more portable. You can't exactly play split-screen multiplayer on this, and don't even get me started on the game quality. Okay, I absolutely love board games. We've got this ever-growing collection of them in our living room. And then Drisha and I literally track every single time we play one of them and then who won. This is just an excuse to show the fact that blue pins are winning. And I also love holograms. I was absolutely obsessed with them as a kid. And even to this day, one of our most viewed YouTube videos is all about how to make one for your phone. So imagine my face when I found out about the Tilt 5 holographic board game kit. So first thing on top are what look like the kickstands. These are if you want to angle your board. We've got what I assume is the actual main game board itself, and then everything else. 2 remotes and 2 sets of glasses. Gotta love this website description. Yeah, they're effing real. These are the holograms you've been waiting for. Now, it does still need glasses. This isn't quite the I've just received a transmission from Emperor Palpatine hologram experience. The way it works is still pretty mind-blowing. So the glasses connect to your computer or Android device. That's what's powering the game. Your computer then sends that information to the glasses to just display. But see, this isn't just 2 screens sitting in front of your eyes. Each of these glasses actually have 2 tiny projectors built into them. Those projectors project the image of the game onto this board, but thanks to the special material that the board is made of, it reflects that image right back at you. So that when you look through the glasses, you can see the board, but also the augmented reality game being layered on top of it. And there's a very specific reason why it works like that. Okay. Oh my goodness. So very first impression, this maze thing that I'm looking at doesn't quite feel like it's sitting and floating here. It does feel like I'm looking down at a game board and it is kind of getting a little bit cut off towards the end. So because this is augmented reality, you can actually change the angle you are from the puzzle so that you have a better view to be able to solve it from. That is extremely unique. It's not a bad looking game. And so the controller is gyroscopic and actually very responsive, I would say. Feels at least as good as what you would expect from like Nintendo's Joy-Cons, as lower bar as that may be. There's a fair bit of motion blur on my end as I'm looking around, but the good news is that the latency is really low. So because the thing is physically wired into the computer that's powering it, it's not like I'm moving my head and then the image is updating 2 seconds later. It does feel almost real. What's actually really cool about this game though is that it almost demands that you take advantage of the fact that you can look around it. Oh yeah, look at that. So I think a big part of the reason they make these work the way they did is so that you can have true occlusion. Like, I put my hands in front of these, and because the hands are physically blocking the projection, it actually makes them feel like they are in front of these virtual objects, as opposed to if it was just 2 screens where the screens would be in front. Oh, hello. So very first impressions.
It's actually off right now.
Oh.
Whoa, okay. I was expecting it to be up, but it's going down.
That was my thought as well. You're looking in.
Yeah. Oh, this is really cool.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of the arcade table we had, but actually better. Graphically speaking, more impressive than I was expecting.
How do I explode?
Oi!
There we go.
Oh, the game is fun, but how much is it actually adding to the experience that it's augmented reality? I guess the best way to test that theory is if we actually open up a board game. Okay, so I can see 3 cards.
Oh,
Can you see 3 cards?
No, I just see this castle in the middle, but I don't see anything there.
Oh, okay. Well, I suppose that's one tangible benefit of augmented reality then. Like, it can hide your viewpoint.
As opposed to hiding your cards.
Yes, but for lazy people who forget. And so what the glasses are doing is essentially using these patterns of dots around the edges of the board to identify where they are in relation to each other. But still, it's cool seeing that in action.
I can see 3 cards here. I can see my board over here.
Yeah, all I see is 2 pillars.
Wow. I think it needs to be a bit slicker. Like, there's a chance that this is cool, but it still feels like old tech.
It feels like a proof of concept as opposed to something I would recommend you buy. But prove its concept, it does. Yeah, I just feel like the way that we play board games, you don't want to be strapped to a headset the whole time. We kind of play them to switch off from the tech. And the tech isn't actually transforming what the game is, which means, again, no podium. Let's have a look at this. Ooh, cupcake looks insane. Looks like this has been a bit of a challenge, the actual printing. What's your assessment of this? Good product or not?
It's not that great. It's too thick, so when you're trying to hold it, it's just not comfortable to sit in my hand and push the button in.
It's like drawing with a pen that's like this. So what about the process of actually trying to build a 3D shape with it?
It just kind of sinks in on itself. It doesn't harden quick enough to be able to build a 3D shape up.
The key thing that was really good about the 3Doodler is the fact that it was hardening instantly. As soon as it stops being able to do that, I guess it loses its entire purpose a little bit.
Yeah.
So the only way then to build a 3D shape with this would be to build lots of 2D shapes and then stick them together.
Yeah, pretty much.
Cupcake looks good though, I'll take that. Now, if you know me, you'll know that I was super sporty as a kid. Chess is a sport. Look it up. But when I could occasionally drag myself away from the grid for a couple of hours, I loved going to my friend's house who had a basketball hoop. Something like this. So it comes with a bunch of accessories, a mini ball, a mini net, and then the hoop. Oh. We'll get another one. And then this is the hoop mini. I don't know in what world this counts as miniature, but this is the first smart basketball hoop games console, and it's also $799. It does kind of look a bit like someone's just taken an old iPad and then stuck a basketball hoop to it. But it is a lot more than that in theory. It's got stereo speakers here and here. It's got multiple shock-absorbing layers in front of the display. And then, of course, AI-powered sensors that track your shots. Probably the best part of this thing, and also the reason it's so damn heavy, is that it's battery-powered, which does give you a lot of flexibility. It means that you can just find a door that you like the look of and wedge it on top of it without having to worry too much about then also being near a main socket. Oh, wow. It's a mini ball, but it is a vast step up in quality from the cheap one that we got with the $20 hoop. I'm pretty sure they drew on the lines just before they sent it. Little bounce test. Yeah, stick with this. Whoa, he shoots, he scores. So that's 1 point. And so if I step further back, that's still a 1-pointer. Oh, so what made that 2 pointers? Well, that gives me some doubt over the quality of the sensors. We'll say as well, not particularly impressed with the viewing angles of this screen. iPad-like in form factor, but very much sub-iPad-like in performance. Is that me? It's like the uncanny valley version of Nintendo's Mii's. The speakers are absolutely terrible. Oh my God, I'm against someone. Wait, so they've scored 5. I've scored 0.2. What the? Oh, well, this is just ridiculous. I guess it makes sense. I mean, average purchaser of an $800 digital basketball hoop is probably going to be pretty into basketball. I think this is a more social product than the Rubik's Cube. The ability to master it and then hand it over to your friend who comes over and watch them never be able to beat your high score. I can see the appeal. Plus, you know, online play and leaderboards, etc. But I think it falls into the same trap as the Rubik's Cube. This thing is priced at not just the equivalent now of a major games console, but significantly more than one. And it seems like they're very aware of that. They actually directly compare it to a games console on their website in one of the strangest, most one-sided side-by-sides I've ever seen, using an Xbox 360 as the competitor. It also says, real reviews from basketball enthusiasts who took their game to the next level. And then you scroll down 2 inches and everyone's talking about how it's great for their kids. There's clearly some effort that's gone into creating this user interface and designing the way your avatar's gonna look in this basketball hoop, but it just feels lost. Somewhere between games console, professional basketball equipment, and smart TV. It is actually kind of cool that you can load up YouTube on your basketball hoop, and even your basketball user interface on top of that YouTube video on the hoop, so that you can do both at the same time. But who would want this? What kind of person has $799 to spend on a mini indoor basketball hoop that doesn't have access to a significantly better TV, significantly better speakers, and ones that don't require you to bend at a 45-degree angle? No podium for you. Another fun fact from my extremely colorful childhood, I used to very regularly play the keyboard. That is, until I realized drums were like 1,000 times cooler an instrument. It's been long enough now that this is my best rendition. There you go. Yeah, I got some nods. So, let's see if we can fix my very obvious skill issue by paying mountains of cash to buy the smartest keyboard that mankind has ever manufactured. This is the Roly. And to be fair, the presentation feels phenomenally premium. And the product too, it's so freaking minimal. So this is their smaller piano, which has been available for a while, but we don't do things by halves here. This is your first look at the company's full-size piano. Seeing the keys light up like that is so freaking sick. This is Bluetooth mode, this majestic waves. So the idea is that it's a piano that connects to a mobile app and uses different colored lights so that you can see which notes you should be playing. Kind of like Guitar Hero, but Guitar Hero that actually teaches you how to play a real instrument. I will say this, the app is beautifully designed. Very smooth. Oh my God. So this isn't just a video. This is a video that is interacting with the real board. When she says to play the blue note is glowing. I feel like I'm learning the muscle memory. Here's the Guitar Hero in action. And if they had this back in the day, I feel like the keyboard would have been a way cooler option. And so this is all part of the lessons, for which, honestly, it feels like I could scroll forever. There is so much going on here. But then also, if you just want to play a song, you go into the search section and you type one. For example, oh my God, that's crazy. So there's 3 modes. You either watch, where it plays for you, you practice where you play, or you challenge where it tests you. I'm actually so blown away by this piece of tech. So it starts off by showing you notes in the kind of cascade format, you know, like Guitar Hero. But then it's got a system to slowly lead you from that into just reading notes off a page. The thought that's gone into this is just wild. And yet, this does have an extra subscription cost that you have to pay for an extra $10 a month. But at the same time, considering how useful I could see this being and how equivalent to actually going and getting piano lessons, I can so see that being worth it. Side note, I have a lot of respect for how they've done the LEDs here. They're firing from the top into the translucent key chambers so that you never actually see the LEDs themselves. It's probably the most tasteful way they could have done it. I also think it's functional because it means that you're never blocking the light. So even if your finger is on the key, you can still always see what key is lit. They've even got a music playground. That is delightful. And it's even got dark mode. It really didn't have to. You know, normally when you get products like this that feel a little Kickstarter-y, the apps are very janky and not very well fleshed out. What's surprising me is that this isn't that. Then there's another level to it. This is the Airwave, which when added to the piano makes this a $948 experience without even factoring in the subscription. But this is kind of nutty because this has an infrared camera system at the top, which means that the keyboard now not just knows what I'm pressing, but where all 27 joints in each of my hands are at 90 frames per second, it can then correct for the buildup of bad posture and bad placement habits, which if you think about it is like the only remaining hurdle that comes from trying to teach yourself how to play an instrument. You can actually change the color of your hands. How incredibly inclusive.
Now you try. Can you align your hand with the outline? Hold up. Try with your ring finger.
Oh my God.
Perfect. Oh, hang on. Use your index finger.
It knows the millisecond I've made a mistake and exactly what I need to do to make it better. And so, compared to these 3, I think piano has to go right into first place. If you're going to spend a ton of money on a toy, that's the way to do it. Now, when I say chess set to you, you probably think of something like this. $10 and packaged kind of like a box of cookies. If you're seriously into the game, you might spend $100 on a tournament-grade chess set. In the previous Extreme Toys video, we even went as far as to spend $600 to buy an electromagnetic chessboard, where every piece was magnetic and could be moved autonomously thanks to a carefully controlled magnet under the board. But the chestnut move is what happens when you spend $1,099. Wow, you even got like Apple-style peels on the back of it. It's kind of cool. It's taking something old school and then fusing it with very contemporary influences. And then, ooh, this is where the magic happens. Each one of these 34 pieces, 34 because it includes 1 extra queen for each side, is essentially their own autonomous robot with wheels. Which means, let's say I've just finished playing a game here, I should be able to, in theory, make the board set itself up again. Holy. Notice how like not a single piece is colliding with one another. And that's because every single one has its own ID and an awareness of where it is in relation to others. Still, this does feel like something straight out of a Harry Potter movie. The pieces are like perfectly aligned in the center. Adjust, 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 adjust. I used to do that every tournament I played, by the way, like 10 minutes before the match started. And I should also be able to say pawn from E2 to E4. This is the sickest chessboard I've ever seen. Let's see what happens if I leave that pawn unguarded. E4. This feels like magic, and it all happens in a much smoother way than it did on the previous magnetic chess set. The thing that's really good about this is that it can be on voice mode, so it's listening out for me, telling it what pieces to move where, but it doesn't seem to get caught out by conversation happening at the same time. So I've had this whole conversation with you, now I'm going to say D2 to D4. And it knows. It understands that chess is not a silent sport. It's pretty fair to say that this, unsurprisingly, is the coolest chess set I've ever interacted with. You can even connect it to your chess.com profile and play your online games offline, or get it to set up puzzles for you to solve on your real board. The pieces are actually so polite. They like make sure they don't touch each other. They're quite British, actually, if you think about it. The pieces themselves feel fine. You know, they're made of wood. They're not super heavy and luxury, but that probably makes them easier to move around. Would I recommend you buy one though? Okay, not for most people. For most people, this is not solving an important problem like the Roly keyboard is, which you could very strongly argue is a very good investment into your future. And it introduces new problems. Like, one of the key perks of this is that it's meant to make your life easier, right? It's moving for you, but then it's got a charging pad, and you now have 34 robotic pieces and a chessboard that you need to make sure are always charged. But it's incredibly ambitious, it's very cool, and it does have functional benefit. Like, let's say I wanted to play online against another person while using a physical chessboard. This is absolutely the best way of doing that. And that is functionally beneficial. Like, when I used to play tournament chess, it was always better to be practicing on a physical 3-dimensional board as opposed to on your phone, because it would be training you to spot patterns when looking at a 3D board, which is what you would be doing in a tournament. Just want to flag, I'm not trying to win here. I wanted to see how well it would take my pieces. Is it more impressive than the plane? I'd say yeah. Is it more impressive than the gun? Yeah, to be fair. Second place. But if I had to guess where we've seen the single biggest leap in toys since childhood, it's gotta be gaming. I mean, this here Game Boy Advance, this was my main console growing up. I was so proud of owning one. It was basically the most desirable toy in the world, priced at around $180 worth in today's money. But now, you can spend more. Quite a lot more, $2,000 to be precise, and get yourself a handheld that is many, many generations more advanced. The One X Player X1 Pro. So this is actually meant to be 3 things in one. A tablet. It's a strange experience using it as one, because it's, I mean, beautiful screen, very slick, very fast, but it's a bit of a chonker. But if you're buying this, you can't just use it to watch movies on a plane. If you're going to do that, you should just buy an iPad. But form factor number 2 is a work laptop. So that wedges into there. Nice solid connection. And then you've got a kickstand at the back. Look at that. It's a fairly smart looking laptop experience. I mean, a proper hinge is always going to be better than a kickstand, because this makes it pretty funny if you're trying to work in the car on your lap. It's giving Facebook mom right here. It's actually very counter to extreme RGB gamer that the rest of the tablet's giving off. The keyboard feels inoffensive. It's pretty similar actually to what you might get on a MacBook. Oh, no way. I mean, what am I even doing? I'm typing Hello Kitty song onto YouTube. Quite unwarranted. This is diabolical. This trackpad requires so much force to push. Oh God, that is bad. But the main thing you'd be buying something like the X1 Pro for is gaming. This, in theory, should be leagues ahead of consoles like the Nintendo Switch 2, and even the more powerful Steam Deck. Not too sure about those controllers. They feel lighter and cheaper than the tablet itself. But for a bit of context, while the Steam Deck OLED is using an AMD Zen 2 chip from 2019, this is using Zen 5 architecture with quadruple the RAM. It's like a very serious machine. For one of the stranger comparisons we've done today, this is Doom running on the Game Boy Advance. I've forgotten what life was like before the backlight, but I remember at the time thinking to myself how big of a deal this game was. Still one of the first ever instances of a 3D shooter being playable on a handheld console. So what does Doom look like on the X1 Pro? Buttons are very nice and clicky. And also, one crucial advantage here over the Nintendo Switch and the Steam Deck is Hall effect joysticks. They're basically the holy grail of controller tech. It means that instead of mechanical joysticks, these are based on magnets, and then measuring changes to the magnetic fields, which is a lot more precise than the alternative, plus less wearing out over time. Okay, so obviously an enormous step up from the Game Boy Advance. It's very impressive and a very immersive gaming experience, especially considering like you could have this while sitting on a plane with no internet connection. But I wouldn't say, graphically speaking, this is like a generation beyond the Steam Deck. It might be why they haven't yet launched a successor to the Steam Deck. They might just be waiting for there to be enough of a tangible performance gain to make it feel next gen. So it's not mind-blowing, but it's pretty great. How does it handle glare? Not particularly well, actually. Might struggle in the back seat of a car. And the other factor is like screen this massive, large fan blowing, high power chip. You're only going to get 2 to 2.5 hours of gameplay per charge. Probably not quite deserving of a podium, I'm afraid. However, if you thought that was expensive, I'm here to regretfully inform you that I have just spent $5,000 of my own money on a single Nerf gun. It's a pretty special Nerf gun. So this is a normal Nerf blaster. You can literally buy 2 of these for $12. And I would probably say if you get fast enough with this, you could probably get 1 shot off every... That wasn't bad. Every 2 seconds. Okay, Steve, you take that one. I apologize, because for around $60, you can then go for something a lot fancier in Nerf's Ultra range. This is also using Nerf's much further firing Ultra darts. Not to mention the thing is full auto, so you should be able to fire about 4 times faster. Literally 2 darts per second. All right, Joseph, that's yours, sorry. And so what on earth could you possibly want to pay $5,000 for? Well, in this box is the Moab, the mother of all blasters, which burns through so much ammo that it actually has to have a backpack-mounted ammo chamber. And just like the mother of all blasters is about to protect me from these guys, the mother of all VPNs, Surfshark, is designed to protect you from, well, let's be honest, people like them when you're browsing online. There's honestly a shocking number of parallels when you really think about it. Practically unlimited ammunition here with a 500 dart capacity. Just like with Surfshark, you can install it on an unlimited number of devices. You don't need to keep count. Tasty peel here. Those darts feed into the gun via these belts automatically, just like Surfshark has AutoConnect. As soon as you connect to the internet, it can run your traffic through the fastest, safest network without even needing to open the app. And this thing has 6 motorized rotating barrels for a multi-prong attack. Just like Surfshark has multiple layers of security, IP masking, and malware protection when you're browsing with it. So go to surfshark.com/boss for 4 extra months of Surfshark for free. Okay, the game is last man standing. You take 1 hit and you're out. 3, 2, 1, go! Oh my God! I was like, ready for it, but I still wasn't ready for it. I think I won. That is 50 darts per second. Now we just got to clean this up. This is like the most extreme version of the toy that your mum doesn't want you to have. I think it's pretty obvious what we need to do here. Is it niche? Absolutely. But that was the best 9 seconds of my life. It really is the embodiment of what this video stands for.